Francisco is a dump. I've been going there for 10 years and it gets worse and worse. Feces, syringes, fentanyl, homelessness like you wouldn't believe. The people that live there complain, but the government did nothing about it. And one day, a dictator shows up and right away it's spotless. For years, local mom and pop shops complain because their businesses are dying and children are scared to walk the streets. Not only did they do anything, they made it worse. Now a Chinese communist tyrant shows up, full-on cleanup and military parade. Man, who the hell are you working for?
I know folks say, oh, they're just cleaning up this place because all those fancy leaders are coming into town. That's true, because it's true.
Welcome to the island. I am your host, Alvis Samuel. And as you heard, yes, Xi Jinping came to California, San Francisco, apparently, and they had this massive meeting. They showed him all the glamorous things and had this massive meeting. They cleaned up the streets, got all the homeless people off the streets, got everything cleaned, drugs, you name it, prostitution, you name it. Cleaned up the streets for Xi Jinping. And this is something that they could not do, apparently. They couldn't do this for the actual citizens of California. Not only that, but they decided to also, if you see the video, they decided to also take down the flags, the United States of America flags, and they started flying the Chinese Communist Party flags. Yes, in California. It's amazing. It's 100% astonishing what happened. So I do have a word, again, another warning, again, and this one is massive for California. Again, because apparently they are not getting these leaders in California, they are not getting the hint. And like I said before, I don't know how many more I can give. And I honestly do believe this actually might be the very last one. So again, there is a word for them. And this word is going to come in a story. And I'm going to tell you this story. And then some of y'all might know where this story is coming from. And some of y'all might not. But after I tell you the story and then I tell you this word, then I will tell you where this story came from. So, at that time, there was a leader, Baradak Baladon, the son of Baladon, king of Babylon, sent letters and a present to Hezekiah. For he heard that Hezekiah had been sick, and Hezekiah was attentive to them, and showed them all the house of his treasures, the silver and gold, the spices, the precious ointment, and all his armory. All that was found among his treasures. There was nothing in his house or in all his dominion that Hezekiah did not show them. Then Isaiah, the prophet, went to King Hezekiah and said to him, what did these men say and where did they come from? So Hezekiah said, they came from a far country, from Babylon. And he said, what have they seen in your house? So Hezekiah answered, they have seen all that is in my house. There is nothing among my treasures that I have not shown. Then Isaiah said to Hezekiah, hear the word of the Lord. Behold, the days are coming when all that is in your house and what your fathers have accumulated until this day shall be carried to Babylon. Nothing shall be left, says the Lord. And they shall take away your sons who will descend from you, whom you will beget, and they shall be eunuchs in the palace of the king of Babylon. So Hezekiah said to Isaiah, The word of the Lord which you have spoken is good. For he said, will there not be peace and truth, at least in my days? What you just heard, what I just read, was a verse. Now, well, not a verse, but more than one verse. It was a few verses in 2 Kings chapter 20. It would be verses 12 through 19. Now, I would suggest before you finish finish listening to this specific episode, I would suggest everyone listening to this episode go ahead and read the entire chapter, the entirety of the chapter, because it also paints a picture of before this happened, how King Hezekiah was sick, and then he became well. So there's a picture being painted. Now, what does that have to do with Xi Jinping coming to California? He was invited, just like this man from Babylon who was invited to see everything that was in the palace, just like Xi Jinping was able to come and he was able to see everything that was in this city and probably much more. With that being said, like I said, there is a word that I am going to give you. And I'm going to give that to you now. And this is for that state because of their governor, Gavin Newsome. And this word that I have is not one, again, not for the faint of heart. As you cleaned up the streets of your city to make way and to show a picture to a dictator, as you gave homage to this dictator so he can come into your state, you swept away the needy, you put away the poor, those that needed help you did away with, put them out of sight and out of mind. For this dictator, you swept them away. Instead of heeding their call and the calls of those around them to help in a time of crisis, you ignored them until this dictator came. A dictator that you invited to come. And then with a smug look and a blatant face, you said this was something that was able to be done this entire time, but you didn't want to until it was important to you, until someone of what you deemed important to do and clean up everything. So with you and there's this state, it will be swept away. It will be cleaned from top to bottom. There will be nothing left. And this same dictator will come and return. And when he returns, he will himself take away not just you, but all those who seemed to be in part of this. He will take away the citizens. He will take away everyone that is in this state. And then it will be swept away as you swept away the poor and needy. That is the word, honestly, that I have had since this entire ordeal has happened. I've talked to a person, I've prayed, and this word has not gone away. It is a startling word because the meaning of this is captivity, destruction, and death. So I'm not taking this word lightly, and it took me a while to even put this out there. However, again, this is a word that I had to put out there because it just never went away. Again, another warning to that state of California, strictly because of their leader, who they, the people, have put in place. They put in place a person who has sold them to the highest bidder. They have put a man in place who does not care for the common person, who does not care for the needy, for the poor, for the widow, for the childless, for the fatherless, nor the motherless. He does not care for those who truly need the help. What he cares for is the big corporation, is getting his face out there, his own ambitions. And because the people have put this person in place, and then the people refuse to get him out, they and him will reap their own seed. Again, this is a word that I do not take lightly, and it's been a while. It took me a while to even say this on air. So again, the meaning of this, again, captivity, destruction, death, selfish ambitions, turning a blind eye to those who God said you must reach your own hands out to help, but instead you covered your own hands and kept them in your pockets, so God himself will do the same to you. Just go to rss.com/podcast/the island, and there you will find the donation button. Click on that, and it'll lead you wherever you want to go. And again, thank you for listening to the Island Podcast with your host, Alvis Samuel.